Hey, everybody, Dr. Grant here, and today we are going to be talking about specifically the stack of supplements that I use really to manage my patients' ADHD symptoms. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 different stacks that are the most common ones that I put together to help eliminate the ADHD symptoms. So, the very first one, let me know in the chat if you are case scenario number 1. If you have this type of ADHD where the medications are working for you specifically, somewhat, but you still feel stressed, overwhelmed, you lack motivation, you're on focus, and you feel something is just lacking. Like medication is just there's something just lacking there for you. Let me know in the chat if you are scenario number 1, because if that's the case, just like my patient and many of my patients that are in this situation, typically it's because the medication is missing a couple things. It's targeting dopamine and norepinephrine, but it's missing so many other aspects right here that could be the culprit to the situation. So if we looking at testing to see, okay, what truly is off, to understand the situation more in depth, and what kind of supplement stack can we be using in order to really help benefit the individual, just like this patient and many of you guys that might be in this situation. And so looking at this, the different things that were off was, for example, the excitatory neurotransmitter phenylethylamine, which helps with also focus, motivation, drive, memory, and so forth. But dopamine was still low, which, when you see that that is still an issue and you're taking the medication, it's obviously there's something else missing. That tyramine levels were low, phenylethylamine levels are low, but also norepinephrine, epinephrine, those are still low. And then also these different amino acids right here are also low that help a lot with these different types of feelings, especially when it comes to stress, like GABA, glutamine, glycine, those things that need to be addressed. So if that's the case, what we have to look at is, okay, what are the stack that we can do with this type of scenario? And these are the first batches that you want to be implementing is L-theanine, DL-phenylalanine, because DL-phenylalanine helps with PEA. Also, usually B complex, because usually what's going on is sometimes this process from going to L-dopa to dopamine is because P5P, which is the activated form of vitamin B6, is low, and other different B vitamins. So that might be the reason why. Dopatone active, the reason I like this one is because it has both phenylethylamine in it, has DL-phenylalanine in it, it has tyrosine in it, and it also has meconiprines in it. So it's kind of helping this whole process, every single one of these areas that need to be targeted. Now, I only will recommend that if I do see situations like this where they're low. Okay. That's the only reason why I would maybe use Dopatone active. It's not in every case, but this is the stack that I will use. Now, one of the things that we need to still add to this stack is a lot of times what we will also see, that I will see, is these specific amino acids, glutamate, glycine, histamine, and taurine, which are all very important for the production and modulation of neurotransmitters. So with the things that we want to add on that stack is L-glutamine. We want to be adding glycine, L-histine, and taurine. And the other additional thing that we want to add is sometimes when GABA levels are low, and this has to do with managing stress. When they're low, you're going to feel more stressed, overwhelmed, which also is going to impact your motivation, focus. So we want to implement that. And so as soon as I implemented this with this specific patient and many patients that I do work with, this made a huge difference for them. They didn't feel so stressed and overwhelmed. They felt like their mood was improved. They had more clarity of mind. They didn't have to be thinking that, oh my goodness, I'm going to go to work and have a really bad day. They didn't have to have that overwhelming feeling because their body chemistry was back in balance, because we were targeting the right things that the medication was not targeting, that was missing. So there's a huge thing that we have to look at when we're looking at stacks. Now, situation number 2, but before we get to that, if you want my help on this, you can click on the link in the description below and book your first appointment with me if you want me help ordering labs for you, as well as putting supplement stacks for you. So go ahead and put that. The link is in the chat below or in the description below. So case scenario number 2, let me know in the chat if you're situation number 2. And if your ADHD is the medication is not working for you and you feel more stressed, tired, unfocused, and unmotivated. So let me know if you are situation number 2. Because just like my patient here, he was feeling all this. His medication was not working. He felt more stressed, felt more tired and unfocused. unmotivated. And the reason for this is there's something else that's going differently when we're looking at their tests. And things are a bit more on the elevated side. So you can see dopamine levels are elevated, norepinephrine levels are elevated. You also have serotonin levels are elevated, GABA levels are elevated. All these are elevated. And when this happens, and I'd say about 20 to 30% of the time, I will see this. You will feel more stressed and agitated, but also still feel very unfocused and unmotivated at the same time. So, what do we do in this situation? What kind of stack do we need to be focusing on in order to help this out? So, there's a few things because it isn't just the different neurotransmitters are off. Other things that also are going to be off is your cortisol might be spiked too. And also maybe at certain times of day where it's low. So we want to make sure we're also testing some other additional things if this is the case. But to address the neurotransmitters, things you want to implement is L-theanine, D-L-phenylalanine, because you saw here it was low. Okay. So it's usually that might be because this thing, our excitatory neurotransmitter, is low and it needs some support there. But what I do like to add along with L-theanine is rhodiola, because rhodiola helps lower also cortisol, dopamine, norepinephrine, and so forth. But also this right here, B vitamins. The one B vitamin that I'm looking at specifically is typically, what we're looking at is vitamin B3. So if that's low, what happens is why the dopamine levels might be elevated, just like this person right here, as we could see, is because it's not being broken down. So dopamine and serotonin, so serotonin as well, vitamin B3 and also vitamin B2 helps break down serotonin. And that's probably why it was elevated. In his case, it was because these levels were low. So we had to add those different specific B vitamins. And once we did that, guess what? He didn't feel so stressed and overwhelmed. But the other thing that we also had to target is lowering his cortisol, which we use ashwagandha for that. Also, rodeo does help with that as well. But also, we had to deal with because he did also still feel tired. And the reason for that, he especially felt tired really in the morning, is we needed to add adrenal desiccated first thing in the morning. Okay. Because sometimes that's what happens is we'll see cortisol up and down all over the place, or sometimes we see it completely flatline. It just depends on the person. This is why it's really important to test to see, okay, what is going on here? What do we need to be implementing in the stacks that are going to be the most beneficial? And that's where lab testing helps us give us a more clear picture. Okay. So, like I said, once we implement that, his energy was good. He was able to not feel so stressed and overwhelmed and having that agitation. So that was really good because that was just really ruining his life. Now, the next thing, if you, I do have a guide in the description as well. It's my ultimate ADHD supplement guide. If you don't want to write every single one of these things down, you can download that in the description below. Okay, so now scenario number 3. Let me know if you are scenario number 3 in the chat. So again, medications aren't working, but the thing that's different here is not only are you feeling more stressed, but you're also feeling depressed. So that does happen to a lot of people with ADHD. They feel more depressed, tired, unfocused, and unmotivated. And what's happening here, what's different in this scenario is there's particular things that are low in lab testing. And the things that we will see low, just like with this patient, where she was feeling depressed, agitated, unfocused, unmotivated, it's because her serotonin levels were low. Epinephrine and norepinephrine, which are important for managing stress. So when these are all low, the stack that we need to be looking out for and starting to help improve these levels with additional other things that we want to test is we need to add things like 5-HTP, L-tryptophan, because both of those help improve serotonin. Okay. Also, L-theanine does help with that as well. But some other additional things that we do need to be looking out for as well is running cortisol. So in her case, her cortisol levels were flatlined. So not spiked like the previous one, but were flatlined. And if that's the case, then we want to use adrenal desiccated or adrenal bovine first thing in the morning and in the afternoon to help improve energy, but also improve mood. The other thing that's also important, look right here, vitamin D. So vitamin D is really important for the serotonin pathway because it's also responsible for taking things from tryptophan to 5-HTP to serotonin to help improving serotonin levels. And in her case, her vitamin D levels were low. It impacts energy and it also impacts the serotonin pathway greatly. That way, a lot of people can feel really depressed when their vitamin D levels are low. So we definitely want to make sure we're checking that as well. And that could be another stack that you can be adding if you're in this kind of situation. B vitamins, the reason for this is because of, more importantly, the activated form of vitamin B6, P5P, just to taking it from tryptophan to 5-HTP to serotonin. So these are the stacks that are kind of put in there. Let me know in the chat, out of those three stacks, which one are you of situation number 1, 2, or 3? I'm very curious of what you guys are in those situations. Now, one other thing that with situation number 3, in her case, and I do see this, is sometimes hormones are really off. So in her case, it was progesterone that was off in her DHEA. So this definitely can impact your mood for sure, and also stress, and it can impact focus and motivation. So in this case, we need to improve progesterone levels. We added natural progesterone cream, and then we added DHEA because DHEA is responsible for helping making these different hormones. So that was another thing that we had to add on our stack. And after doing so, her mood improved drastically. She didn't feel so depressed. In fact, really not depressed at all. Her focus was back on track. She was more motivated, driven, because we targeted the right things, right? That's what's so important, is that it's so important to look at lab work, because then we know what stacks are going to be the best and most beneficial. But supplements are only the initial stepping stone. It does take lifestyle changes, nutrition, but now that we've done lab testing, now we know what nutrition to target and lifestyle changes to target, so that food becomes medicine, lifestyle becomes medicine, and not so heavily reliant on the supplementation. So if you would like my help to order these different labs to really identify the root cause of your ADHD and putting supplement stacks together and a treatment plan together for you, then I'd love to help you out. All you got to do is just click on the link in the description below to book your first appointment with me, 45-minute appointment, to be able to finally identify the root cause and helping eliminate those ADHD symptoms you're experiencing. So like I said, all you got to do is click on the link in the description below. And thank you guys so much for attending, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream. Thanks. Bye.